Are you ready? Let's make some jam. See what?
In this and the following lectures, we will establish our own research laboratory. No matter what field of studies you pursue, experimenting is one of the most important parts of any research. In our case, we won't need any fancy equipment, sophisticated gadgets, or special know-how. To start learning, it is sufficient to own a moderately powerful computer. By moderately powerful, I mean that your CPU needs to be of 64-bit architecture. You will require at least 4 GB of RAM and at least 160 GB of storage. Sadly, weaker setups will either struggle or won't be able to cope with the requirements presented in this course. As I already mentioned in the introductory part, this course is majorly practical. Thus, we will be doing a lot of experimenting in the lab. Since beginners usually make tons of mistakes, the best approach would be to conduct experiments in the virtual environment. This way, it will be much easier to fix errors, restore the system points, and if need be, quickly hard reset a virtual OS. Everything we do in the virtual environment won't affect our primary OS. Moreover, for the purposes of ensuring your anonymity, running a virtual OS is even better, as all files can be removed by several mouse clicks. Virtual OS also allows us to create so-called snapshots of the current state of OS. This means that if you do something wrong, you won't need to reinstall the whole system. It would be sufficient to merely restore a snapshot of the virtual OS. Eventually, this saves a lot of time and effort, especially in early phases of learning. I always suggest my students to use Virtual OS not only to conduct penetration testing, but also to examine suspicious software that might actually be malware. Using Virtual OS is exactly the same as running it as your primary OS. Moreover, Virtual OSs are designed in a way that they actually think that they are primary OSs.
That's how I like it.
The only downside is that virtual OSs don't have access to integrated wireless interfaces. By integrated, I mean the one that is installed directly on your motherboard. Nevertheless, there is absolutely no need to worry. You will still have access to the internet from your virtual OS, however, your primary OS will be the one that shares internet connection with it, not your integrated wireless interface. With this said, let's move on to the part where I will elaborate a bit on software for virtualization. Two primary stakeholders in the world of virtualization are Microsoft VMware and Oracle VirtualBox. I like VirtualBox more. I find it more convenient, stable, flexible, and a bit easier to use. Of course, all of this is about personal preference. However, my early experience with Microsoft VMware was a bit frustrating, as it required many tweaks to run Kali appropriately. While I don't suggest it, after finishing with this course, you are free to try VMware as well as install Kali Linux as your primary OS. However, we are still very far away from that point, so please follow my instructions carefully and you shouldn't encounter any major problems. We will take care of minor problems if and when they start appearing. Okay, it's about time to move on to the next lecture, where I will teach you how to install Oracle VirtualBox and provide you with necessary download links.
Rewind.